What's up, everybody? This is Jared with Select Your Player. I wanted to do a fast video kind of continuing Michael's video that he put up on his YouTube channel earlier today, talking about is Bloodborne too hard or games in general. And I'd like to agree with Michael and say that they're not too hard. In fact, this should probably be kind of the new standard. My first console wasn't an NES, it was a Super NES. But I had an older brother, and so I was fortunate enough to have an NES. So I've played video games since NES up until now. And what I think the problem is that this newer generation kind of lost the basics of video games. Not growing up with NES, Super NES, or even 64 PlayStation, but being brought up on like GameCube, Wii U. Back when the Super NES was out, when you would like talk to your friends, you would never be like, "Oh man, Super Mario is just too hard. I wish they would just make it a little easier." Or games on the NES, you never hear that. That was just video games. You just were thrown into the game. You figure it out. You play the game. If you didn't like it, you try a new one. You're probably good at that one. But I think that is the problem, is that we have these two generations since the industry is getting fairly older now, over 20 years old, is that the new generation didn't have the basics of like the NES and stuff like that. Like, if you play games with a person like that was brought up on NES, Super NES, they could probably be like, "Oh, this is probably going to come next in the video game," or like, you kind of know what's going to happen because you've seen it in other video games. You've been playing it so long, you can kind of guess. But with this newer generation, they do need a tutorial because they didn't have that basic lesson of older video games kind of teaching you, kind of easing you into it. So that's why there's so much tutorials in your games and just like practice levels and stuff like that. Difficulty settings. You didn't have that really in the NES. You just had the game. It just throws you in. You figure it out, trial and error. You're gonna die a lot. Mario, you jump off a cliff 20 times, one level. And that's what Bloodborne does. You die by one enemy like 10 times, or a horde of enemies. And it's not that you're bad, it's just you're learning. It's trial and error. You just gotta figure it out. So, no, I don't think Bloodborne's too hard. I've played a little bit. I haven't played it all like Michael. I haven't just mastered that game, but when I played it, I wasn't overwhelmed. I kind of knew what was going on. Not too hard to... Yeah, you're gonna die a lot. It's trial and error. But I think that should kind of be the standard. Like, I don't think there should be difficulty levels on the game. I think you should just make the game, and if you can't play it or it's too hard for you, try a different game. Maybe a game that there should be games geared towards, I guess, casual gamer. But I do enjoy a good harder game like Bloodborne or something like that. And I wish the industry would just continue making games like that, because when you beat a game that is at that difficulty, you're like, wow, I just completed this whole mission or this whole adventure on my own. I figured it out. Awesome. So, I don't know. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. Thanks for watching. Go to Michael's channel and watch his playthroughs. I'm in some of the videos. Subscribe to him. Subscribe to Select Your Player. Thank you for watching.